Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and I just got back from a LEGO convention in Orlando, Florida, where I got a chance to do a full-on LEGO Masters winners panel alongside not just my teammate Robert, but also alongside the Season 2 winners Mark and Steven, who are so much fun to do a panel with, and I figured, you know what? Why not showcase this panel for you on YouTube right now so the folks who didn't get to go to the convention in person can still witness what we talked about. Now, we actually had 4 different panels with Mark and Steven for LEGO Masters throughout the entire conference. I was able to record 3 of them, so I've basically just put the recordings in this video. I hope you enjoy taking a look at a special panel for the LEGO Masters winners, and without further ado, let's dive into it right now.
Hello, I'm Mark Erickson, part of Mark and Steven Erickson from LEGO Masters Season 2. We love to build castles and other big, cool creations. We have a bunch over there, and we're excited to answer your questions. We're looking for some raised hands in just a minute.
Hello, I'm Steven Erickson, this guy's brother. I was on Season 2 as well. We also won. Spoiler warning, you've been warned. Okay.
All right.
Open up for questions?
All right, let's go ahead and open up for questions. I was on Season 2, that's why I have a favorite for the Season 2.
Yeah.
So let's
This
just
guy,
go that way, you know. All right.
Can't with him.
All right, do we have a hand? Question number 1. I know this is the hardest one to get started. I see somebody in the back. Here we go.
Hey, good to see you again. If you could turn any LEGO theme or set into a working LEGO ride, which would it be?
Ooh, okay. So like a Legoland question now. Okay, let's think. I would do a Power Miners ride, where you have to like maybe navigate tunnels or something like that with large vehicles. That would be pretty fun. What do you think, Art? Galador the Ride. It's a weird old LEGO theme from 2002, I think, and it almost bankrupt LEGO, but I think that'd be an insane experience. What about you, Doug?
I feel like I gotta say Bionicle, though technically there are Bionicle Legoland rides, but pretty much the extent of it is one of them, they put you on a robotic arm and then yeet you around, while Bionicle music plays in the background. And the other one, you just spin around in teacups that kind of look like Bionicle things. So I would go all the way. I want like a Bionicle roller coaster. You're going through the island, you're going in the volcano. Like, I would love something like that.
Ooh, Borrowed Door the Ride, but double stacked.
Boy, that Bionicle one, all I can think of is Spy Kids and that whole rotating arm thing. I'm like, oh, I'm freaking out. All right, what's your question?
What inspired you to build Legos?
I've been building LEGO since I was a kid. I'm an engineer by training. LEGO Mindstorms got me into engineering when I was really small and kind of got me into coding. And so I always liked the creative aspect of LEGO. It's just the fact that kind of you can do anything you want and kind of build to your imagination, which always appealed to me.
I've been honestly a lifelong fan of LEGO ever since I picked up one particular LEGO set. It was a Life on Mars shuttle in 2001. And it's honestly not the most refined build nowadays, but I loved it because I could use the bricks in the set to make a spaceship. But then I could separate it out into modules, so you could take on a rover, and the droid, and the engines, and the cockpit, and then you could stick them together to make your own version of the spaceship. And I thought it was so cool how there were systems within systems, and really fell in love with that way of designing and building LEGO sets. And I also fell in love with the storytelling of LEGO, and particularly Bionicle and Ninjago have some incredibly rich and detailed lore and stories, and that's what really kept me going through LEGO, especially in my teenage years, and here I am today.
Yeah, clap for that. That's good. No. So for me, it was the ability to create my own worlds and have my own adventures in my bedroom or backyard with characters I could create. So it was like, you know, I can't personally go dig up dinosaur bones as a 6-year-old, but my LEGO guys can, and so I got to kind of live these amazing experiences through them. So that's kind of where it started, and just kind of evolved from there into building huge worlds. Well, I can't remember not having LEGO, so it's hard to pinpoint an exact spot where you were inspired to build. But I know that when we discovered the LEGO community, which is what's going on here, when we first found that definitely inspired us to do some crazy stuff. So I think it was back in what, 2011, 2009, somewhere in there, or early 2000s, when we found out there was a huge LEGO community that really inspired us to build, and what's actually what helped put us on the map for LEGO Masters. So yeah, that was definitely very important. Any other questions? Got some in the middle here?
So I'm an avid watcher of LEGO Masters. You were just given 8-hour time clock. How did you pace pace yourself? How did you start thinking your process and do those really cool drawings to turn into what you created?
How did you pace yourself? Well, it's a lot of guesswork. All right, you got to kind of guesstimate how long this light challenge is going to last, how fast you can build stuff, and how much energy you have. It really helps to have a good teammate that you know how they build, how quickly they can build. Me and Mark have done contests, much more mild contests before LEGO Masters, so we had an idea of what a full day's worth of building feels like. So you kind of get a rough estimate from there. One thing is you stay hydrated. You got to stay hydrated. If you got to use the bathroom, that's on your clock, so try to hold it in as best you can. The clock is still running. So yeah, there's a couple strategies you can employ, but I think teamwork is the most useful bit for that, knowing how the other team works.
For us, we were relying on a lot of build experience. We built a lot of creations. We've done contests, so we were kind of knowing a little bit what to expect. Although LEGO Masters expect the unexpected. It was insane. Planning is very important too. We try to get planning done in like 10, 15 minutes max, and keep a simple idea that could be expanded upon later. So a tree guy, building a tree guy. Oh, then we can add a little bunny, then we can add a little woodpecker on his shoulder. Yeah. So expand from there. So that was kind of one of our game plans. What about you guys?
It's actually a really good question. So Robert and I in our day jobs, we're both product managers at Microsoft. So kind of what we do for a living is just to try and figure out schedules and map out how we're going to get a product from ideation to completion. And it kind of felt like LEGO Masters was just a much tighter, much faster microcosm of that. Where instead of having to deliver a project over the course of 6 months, we had 8 hours or 10 hours to deliver it. And so what we did is we really tried to focus hard on the planning, and every single challenge we'd spend maybe even up to 30 minutes mapping out literally a minute-by-minute schedule of what each of us should be doing at certain times. Now I will, for every challenge, yes, I will say, did we stick to those schedules? And the answer, I think, is a pretty resounding no for every episode, where we almost always had too much faith in how quickly we could put things together. And things got cut, and things got de-scoped, and things took longer than expected. But having that framework was super helpful because we could be working on completely different things at once, but having it all come together because we had a plan.
I think Chris said it really well. So there's planning and there's prioritization. So I think on the planning side, as Chris mentioned, we did have that like pretty much 30-minute block schedule of Chris is going to be doing this for the entire challenge. I'm going to be doing this. And this really helps us parallelize work as well so that we're never really overlapping or stepping on each other's toes. I think the second part outside of planning is also prioritization. So like what are the kind of features? We're basically building a product in 8 hours. So what are the features that we have to deliver in time? And what are kind of the nice to haves, right? So what are the must haves and the nice to haves? And we always want to make sure that we have the must haves front loaded so that we get those done first, so that even though most of the time we're over ambitious, we can't finish everything, the things that we leave out are only the nice to haves and not the must haves.
I would like to start a Lego business, like a bricks and minifig or Kids for Bricks. Do you have any advice about maybe how to make that an awesome, successful business?
Yeah, so I'm not necessarily qualified to give like full business advice. So, but some ideas I would have is, start small, but also like have goals. So move forward. That like you want to like maybe a physical brick and mortar store. You want to go for a website. Start kind of figuring out what direction you want to go in, because you can do a lot of different business type opportunities in the LEGO community. You see a lot of them there. I would talk to several of the vendors over there, see their experience, because they have years and years of actual business selling versus I'm just an employee for one of those stores, so I have kind of like a partial knowledge of that. But you don't have to necessarily join a big franchise like a Bricks and Minifigs. You can, honestly, starting a business is difficult, but it's not impossible. And then you have all that freedom and I think a little bit more opportunity in some ways. So consider all your options before you decide on a course of action. Yeah. And good luck to you. Yeah, I would definitely talk to the vendors for sure. They got some good stuff.
If you want more advice, this is what I do.
Tim,
hit me up afterwards. I do Lego activities and events, and so just let me know.
They got Alpine Brickco over here. Yeah.
Did your hands hurt when you were doing those Lego challenges?
Did our hands get really sore? Is that the question?
Yeah. Did your hands hurt through doing all of the challenges?
Yeah, they did. But interestingly, we had a little strategy for that. Mark had been doing a lot of commission work leading up to the building commission builds leading up to the show. Now, I had been doing other stuff. I was working a blue collar job, so I wasn't, not really as much. But this guy found out that collagen makes your fingernails stronger. You take collagen as a supplement. It's basically like a protein shake, essentially. But it targets your hair, your fingernails, and your skin a little bit. It makes it a little sturdier. So some people were actually getting cuts and calluses and scrapes and stuff as they were building for many hours. But we were taking collagen every day, and we were all holding up pretty well. So there's a few strategies you could employ. Like we were taking performance enhancing stuff. I don't know, but it worked. It's over the counter. It's completely legal. It's actually healthy for you. But another thing is, if the more you build with Lego, the less it hurts. So if you build for long stretches of time, your hands will stop hurting just naturally. So, but taking collagen, eating a high protein diet does help. You guys have hurt hands too?
Honestly, I feel like I've developed enough calluses over the years of non-stop building Lego that I just don't even feel it. The legs, on the other hand, though, sprinting back and forth with the brick pit, I was definitely feeling that at the end of the day, I'll say that.
Yeah, I don't think either of us felt it too much in our fingers. We did have hammers handy to nail down pieces, so that definitely helped. So if maybe the hammers really felt most of the force, but it was very loud, so hopefully the contestants didn't mind too much.
All right, questions? Raise your hand. I got one, so we can just keep filling it in. If you could not build with your partner and had to pick a different Lego master, who would you pick as your partner from any of the seasons? Okay, so from any of the Lego Master seasons, who would you pick as your partner if you couldn't have the one that you have?
Okay, everybody on the show is amazing, and everyone would be awesome, but the first one that came to mind is Boone. Boone from season 1. He's got the big glasses, he's got the spiky hair and the beard, and a gorgeous singing voice. Boone would be up there. I think he'd be near the top. But honestly, I would not build with anyone but this guy. I'm sorry. That's why I'm not on the Christmas specials. I want to build with this guy. What about you, bro?
All right, Boone is gone. You can't choose Boone now. He's gone. So now you got to pick somebody different.
Okay, so I have a fun story. So during the casting of season 1, Aaron Newman, who ended up working for Lego after season 1, he actually reached out to me because we were pretty good friends online. He says, "Hey, Mark, you want to do this Lego Masters thing with me?" I'm like, "Hey, man, that sounds like a lot of fun, and I think we'd work really well together, but I got this brother, and we might actually end up doing this together, so I'm going to have to pass, but you guys have a great time." And then he got paired up with Christian and did pretty well, but they didn't get to the final 3. So that would absolutely be an alternate universe me. If Steven didn't like Lego, or if I didn't have a brother, I'd probably be on season 1, so...
Man, I gotta say, well, there's a really funny thing that happened is that Sam from my season, we got super close over the course of filming, and halfway through filming our finale, we decided to go check out Atlantic BrickCon. And people there kind of pieced together that we were on the show, potentially, but I think there was a misconception that Sam and I were on the same team based on the two of us showing up and being super friendly and talking Lego with each other. We weren't even on the same team, so we just were friendly. So if there was somebody else, I mean, Robert, I think, was the only one crazy enough to say yes out of my non-Lego friends to want to actually do this. But in terms of another Lego master, I would be definitely down to do it with Sam. I mean, unless Chris Pratt counts, so maybe I would say that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say probably either Zach or Wayne. They're amazing. I mean, some of their builds are just kind of mind-boggling. Like the dragon build, I think they also built the huge one off of the cliff, I believe. That was pretty friggin' awesome. But as Chris mentioned, I don't think I would have really gone on the show with anyone except for Chris. We've worked together on a lot of startup projects in the past. We've been in college. We kind of know how each other work as a team. And so I think one of the big reasons why we succeeded was because we were kind of tested beforehand, even before the show, as startup co-founders. And so, that pressure cooker was just reapplied on the show again, and it worked really well.
All right, questions? Because I can come up with all kinds of them. All right, so here's the next question while you guys are thinking. So somebody raise your hand for the next question. Here's the next question. Other than your builds, not yours, what was your favorite build on any of the seasons? Not your builds, though. You can't count yours. It has to be somebody else's build. What was your favorite build on any of the 4 seasons?
Okay, Christopher just brought up Sam and Nina. They're amazing team, amazing builders. I'm going to steal Steven's, it's the cuckoo clock from season 4, because that was an insane build for like a regular time of a challenge. I'm like, that could have been a finale build. It was so big and cool. So just really kudos to them in the scale that all of season 4 was able to build. So anybody else got anything?
Chris is cheating right now. He's looking on his phone. He's like, he's trying to go through it and figure out
I
which
was looking
build
at
it is.
pictures and trying to find them.
Can I do my own season?
You can do your own season,
Okay,
just not
okay.
your own builds.
Okay, I gotta go with the default one, and that is the Dueling Dragons, I think they were called, Dancing Dragons, from Zack and Wayne. Oh my word, one motor, one engine ran that whole contraption. Absolutely mind-blowing. Like, we all saw it, we're like, all right, who's going in second place? Because we all know who's going in first over here. It was absolute showstopper of a first model. Probably one of the best builds that wasn't in a finale, in my opinion, from all seasons, in my humble opinion. Those guys absolutely killed it. Only mad respect. They were some great builds, but that was a special one. What about you guys?
I did have to look up the official name of the build, which is Kaiju Monster versus Mecha Crab. But when I saw this, it's from Lego Masters Australia. Blew my mind. It was so big. It had this like giant robotic crab fighting this huge sea serpent-like creature. And when I saw that, I was so blown away. This was actually before that we had gotten on the show, and I was like, oh my goodness, we do not stand a chance against something like that. So I gotta say that is by far my favorite that I've ever seen so far.
I'll keep myself to the U.S. I think Zack and Wayne's Heaven's Castle, that was the one that I was referencing before, where basically they had a sheer cliff and they built a pagoda just kind of protruding far out from it. It's kind of this massive, beautiful pagoda. I think just the engineering challenge of getting that to not break or sag, I think is pretty friggin' cool. So definitely that one.
All right, questions? You got another one down there?
So, did you ever feel like you had to start over, even though it was like way too late to like take everything down in that project?
Yes, that is a great question. At least once, probably more the more I think about it, but it was episode 2 of our season, the Cat Challenge. And honestly, we had gone into it wanting to make something completely different to begin with. We wanted to make a Lego Vikings reference in our build, and we wanted to basically do this gigantic Viking fortress, sort of like what they did for the original castle line. And we were going to fill it up with tons of platforms and things for the cat to play with. But then we brought over our cat, and the cat was completely chilled out, like sleeping, not really interacting with anything, didn't, like lights, didn't care, strings, unless it was something really colorful, didn't care, and even then after a few seconds it just went to sleep, and we were like, okay, maybe we need to pivot and make it more of kind of a home for the cat and a nice place for it to sleep, so at least a little comfy sleeping on the rug. Well, anyway, a couple hours left in the build, the judges come over, and I don't know what happened, but our cat, I guess it had gotten enough rest because it was absolutely going crazy. It was jumping around. It was trying to climb on Robert. It was just swatting at everything, trying to climb up. And so the judges were like, oh, wow, you have such an active cat. You probably have prepared a build with so many platforms and moving objects and lights. And we were like, yes, that is absolutely what we're working on. So we had about, I would say, like 3 hours to completely change around what we were doing, add a ton of platforms, add motorized moving strings. And we pulled it off, but it was super messy, and I feel like the story just wasn't quite there. And if we got a chance to redo it, it would definitely be that one.
Yeah, I think the cat challenge was definitely a tough one. Oh man. I think the roller coaster challenge was also one where we almost pivoted, but we did not pivot. And I think it was a good choice. So we were trying to get this very interesting lift mechanism for the roller coaster. Typically roller coasters, to go up the hill, you just use a chain and kind of pull the roller coaster cart up. But we wanted to do something different for some reason, and so we designed kind of the spiral mechanism where it was almost like a laundry machine in a sense. So you had the cart, and then it was kind of pushed up the spiral with like a central spinning axis. We thought it'd be actually pretty easy, and in fact, probably the reason why we chose it was because we thought getting that to work would be easier than getting the chain mechanism to work. But it wasn't. It was like extremely and catastrophically hard to make work. And when Jamie came over, he was like, I don't think this is actually possible to do. And we were like, oh my God, are we screwed? But we were already about like halfway through the challenge, and we were basing our entire roller coaster off of this. So we kind of had a choice of, are we gonna kind of give up and just have the spiral just be a downward spiral, or are we gonna just like push through, prove Jamie wrong, and keep going? And to Chris's credit, he spent, I think, 7 or 8 total hours just building that spiral and making it work, and got it to work. And I think that saved us. So thank you, Chris. But I think that's probably one of those moments where like the judges recommended that we pivot, but we did not.
Well, we really couldn't because we already said we were going to do it. I think it was a matter of we do it or we're done.
Exactly. Let's see. I don't think there was ever a time in our season where we got to the point where we're like, we have to start over from scratch. But there are definitely times where it's like, okay, this element of this build is not working. What do we do to fix it? Sometimes the fixes worked. Like with the fan challenge, we had to adapt the body of the fan so it didn't clip and break itself. And then other times we're like, oh, this tower is taking too long to build. Let's finish the top lighter. And it broke immediately on the 8th level instead of the 11th level like we wanted. So sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but we never went like full restart. What about you, Steven?
No, that we observed pretty early on in season 1 that people who restarted basically went home. Like you're going home if you're restarting. That's basically suicide, essentially. It's bad. However, we had to change a few ideas occasionally. I remember distinctly in the hanging brick challenge, which was a really fun one, where you get to do basically whatever you want to build. We started with a floating island. And then Caleb and Jacob are doing the floating island. I go, okay, this is interesting. Well, how do we make it different? Well, let's add fairies. Yeah, let's do fairies. Let's add fairies to the model. That'll look great. And then we found out that Natalie and Michelle were doing fairies. Like, oh, good. What do we do now? Let's do bugs. Let's do like a Bug's Life, right? Yeah, that'll be easy. Bug's Life. We'll throw that on there as we're still building this thing. And then we find out that Caleb and Jacob are doing bugs, and they're also doing the floating island that we started with. So we're nearly panicking. So we do lawn gnomes. Let's do garden gnomes in this thing. And I don't know where that came from, but it ended up working out great because we ended up winning that challenge. But a lot of pivoting ended up like as we were building. It was useful to be very adaptable on the fly. So yeah, pivoting is okay, but restarting, you're probably going home. We could probably do one more, I think.
Question is, as the parent of a son who has been building Legos his whole life, and there is hardly any room in his room to sleep, what is the best way to keep these Legos from like having dust all over? I mean, they dust them, take it off, move it off the shelf. Any ideas on
I wonder who could answer that. We just store our parts in bins. It looks like a workshop, but Christopher has a different setup.
Yes, so if there's one thing I've learned over the years is that you can always find a more inventive way to store Lego without taking up more space than it needs to. So in my collection, I've got sets hanging from the ceilings, we've got sets mounted to the side of the walls, minifigures that are mounted on wall frames as you enter it, and if you're looking about trying to avoid dust, I think this microphone battery's dying, but one thing that I do is that typically I try to block all the vents, close all the windows, put Lego shelves in front of the windows, basically make it so that dust doesn't really collect, and I've been pretty lucky with it so far, I will say, in terms of dust not collecting on my Lego when I just have all available places for it to be blown in, blocked off. But if you're worried about space, you can always go vertical, up, down, use your walls, use the ceiling, and make it work.
So give them the concept on approximately how many sets you have in your Lego room.
I think we're up to 10,000 sets right now.
Yeah, so he knows a thing or two about expanding the space.
And you can see it on the Duck Bricks YouTube channel right now. Subscribe.
All right, so we are at, we could probably do one more question. I'm gonna get him down here.
How does it feel to win Lego Masters?
This is a fun question. It's also a hard question. I've tried to figure it out. I think I could. Oh, was that? Okay, cool. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. I would describe it as a really, really nice tornado in your head. Like a really great tornado going off in your head. It's completely out of control. You feel almost like you're gonna faint or fall over. Like all the pressure is gone. Like it's literally like a valve going off, and everything exhaling. That's literally what it feels like. yeah, how about you guys?
So I had a little bit of a sneak peek as to who might win because they're setting up the stage. Me and Steven got moved from the right to the middle. Why? Why are they putting us in the middle? I look at the trophy, there's 3 sets of figures on the trophy. Oh, our figure's in the middle of the trophy. It's about from me to the Barad-dûr Tower there, and I could see it, and I'm like, why would they put us in the middle? Just like our heads on a silver platter? No, we might be winning this thing, so I was a little bit more prepared for it than other teams might have been.
Yeah, we did not have that experience. We had no idea who was going to win. In fact, I thought it was going to be Sam and Nina for a while. So we kind of went in completely blind, and it was just so surreal. Many great photographs that we have of Robert crying, which has now been distributed amongst our college friend group chats. That was a really great feeling to be like, finally, we've got him showing emotion on camera. But how did it feel for you?
It was just so cathartic. Oh, as Chris mentioned, we thought Sam and Nina would win. They came out of the gate in the season going strong. I think they won like 4 out of the 5 of the first episodes. So an unbelievably strong team. Their finale build was also really amazing. Family tree, they told a great story. Huge build as well. Our plane was big, but also, in our opinion, kind of unpolished. And so we came into the challenge fully expecting, and I think our parents were also fully expecting us to not win. But when we did, I think it was just such an emotional release. It was just unexpected, kind of just built up stress. I think we're both super competitive people as well. And so it's just unexplainable emotions just culminated into crying. But it was a very good feeling.
So Robert, I think you summed it up best. I don't know how it was edited exactly for that moment, but you summed it up by just looking at Christopher and saying, "Dude," and like that was it. Like that's how you describe it. That's the one word. Awesome. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up here.
I think that's about it. That's all the time we have for questions today. Thank you so much for listening to us talk about LEGO Masters. A bunch of great questions. There will be other activities shortly thereafter. I think we've got, do we have anything else for today? We have an influencers panel maybe? Yeah, so that's coming up. Other LEGO Masters and really famous people in the LEGO community to listen to and hear themes from. So enjoy the show. We'll see you around.
I think that we had a couple of minor pivots, but I think overall, the judges' feedback really helped us shape, I think, just what we prioritize in each of the builds. Because I do think the skill set for building MOPs outside of LEGO Masters versus building in LEGO Masters is very different. And what requirements makes a good build is also very different. As you mentioned, they really like color, they really like story, they like technique, of course, but also scale. And so I think in the beginning, we tried to pack a lot of this really detailed, tiny things into the build. That didn't really pay off because it doesn't look great on screen. And so I think as the build kind of went on, we tried to build builds that were bigger and more iconic, more colorful, the more kind of self-explanatory story. And that's kind of, I think, just kind of learning those requirements of what the judges like, what does well in the show, really well.
I had a good story actually about feedback from the judges because there was actually a really funny time during episode 2 of our season, which was the cat episode. So we had a few minutes to interact with our cat, and our cat was so chilled out, like wouldn't respond to anything at all, like basically asleep. We were dangling different colors, A/B testing it, nothing, wasn't responding. So we're like, okay, so we can basically just do whatever we want. Let's build a habitat, and the cat will be fine. Anyway, cat goes away. Judges come back like hours later. They bring the cat over, and I don't know what was going on, but the cat had to be on something. Like had too much catnip. I don't know. But the cat was climbing all around. It was like jumping on Robert's head. It was like jumping at the judges. So they were like, "Oh wow, your cat is so active. It looks like it would love to have like a structure to climb on." Well, we didn't plan for that because we were thinking, well, if our cat is so chill, if we make a climbing structure and it doesn't use it, that looks bad. So we had not factored that in at all. I think we had like 5 hours left in the challenge, and we had to completely pivot our whole structure of that build to integrate gigantic platforms for the cat to go on, which eventually didn't pay off because the cat was thankfully very active during that session. But that was a pretty steep pivot that we had to throw in last minute.
Yeah, there's no expression hurting cats or hurting gerbils. Yeah, good luck. Yeah.
Come check out the loser panel. Alright, so I want to know if there was, like, I don't know how much time you guys had to prepare, like, what to do on the show, but did you do anything specifically to, like, train for the show to get ready?
Training for Lego Masters, right? Yeah, these guys have a pretty systematic approach.
There's actually a very handy video that I love watching on occasion on the Duck Bricks YouTube channel, one of my personal favorite channels. How we train for Lego Masters.
I love Duck Bricks.
But no, I mean, what we did was basically, I mean, I had personally gone into the competition with basically no mocking experience. I pretty much only collected and built sets. Robert had come into the competition as my very dedicated to win friend who probably hadn't built a ton of Lego at all since when you were a kid, really, and with Mindstorms and stuff. So we were both going in pretty fresh, and what we did was about a week before the actual competition, Robert flew out to my house in Seattle, and we basically just spent a full week practicing building mocks, like building spheres, creatures, animals, humanoids, buildings. We practiced starting one build and then swapping and having to finish the other person's build. We practiced building on time, practiced sorting pieces quickly, and even building official sets and trying to take a look at the most interesting building techniques we had. And it was pretty rigorous, but it was definitely, I think, something that paid off. And Robert even went above and beyond with Studio, and he could probably talk a bit about that.
Oh yeah, I think one of the limitations of building with home is the fact that we have limited bricks. And so there's this great software called Studio, which is basically like Minecraft but with Lego. And it just allows us to try out a lot of new techniques and see what looks good. And I think that helped a ton, both on the show and also before the show.
Yeah, so we did a lot less preparation than that. So, yeah, sure. Yeah, we did. So one thing we did look into was a couple of techniques for making spheres, perfectly round objects. So there's like a Lowell sphere, which you can look online, do different scales of. So we wanted to have that committed to memory. But other than that, we were kind of relying on a lot of experience building mocks, because unlike you guys, we've been doing this for a very, very long time, going to conventions. So yeah, we built a lot of stuff, built a lot of mocks. And so, sorry. Hey, we have a lot less sets. We built more mocks. So that was our strategy going in. We really should have looked into power functions and Technic a lot more, because we learned a lot of that on the fly. You agree, Steve?
Yeah, we did. I know I basically did nothing. At a very time. Okay, but which isn't 100% accurate, because like years and years and years of trial and error, experimentation, building online, building for conventions like this, learning what is really eye-catching, what people really like to see, kind of just taking that into account. Because I don't want to make it sound like preparing is a bad idea, because like we really should have prepared. Because we suffered a lot with a lot of the strength challenges. You can see it in the early episodes with the tower challenge. We were really suffering. We were in the bottom 3. So we learned it the hard way, but I think we were adaptable enough to really get on our feet again and everything. So there's that. So there's 2 very different strategies with a similar result. So it's interesting to compare that. But yeah, good job preparing, guys. It clearly paid off. It paid off really well. There you go. You guys did great. Anybody else? Any questions? Right here?
Okay, so one of the things that I loved about Lego Masters was when they went back in the holidays and they did the celebrity things. If you had a celebrity mashup, who would you pick?
Well, I would have picked Chris Pratt, but all the season 3 people over there got to see him. That was yeah, I was bummed about that. We could pick let's see who else. Pick a celebrity mashup for like the Christmas challenge, or just Morgan Freeman. Let's go with Vitruvius.
Okay, I have no idea why, but I think it'd be hilarious if Tom Cruise was trying to build he's like running and I mean, I just think that'd be really funny. I don't know. It's probably an unusual guy to try to work with, but that'd be something. What about you guys?
I'd probably say Jack Black. No explanation needed.
Bro, I was gonna say that. Oh man, I don't know. I feel like Jason Momoa would be really fun to build Lego with. I feel like he's got that Lego energy. But I mean, if they really want to get a celebrity on the show, they just gotta ask me back.
So when it's like a 12-hour build, is that all in one day, or do you like leave, like do 6 hours, and then leave, come back, and then do you stay with the other teams all night?
So it depends on the schedule and when we started the episode. You can start the episode basically any part of the day during our season. But yeah, typically we build for that 4 to 6 hours, take a lunch break, another 4 to 6 hours or later into the night. So yeah, it depended, but yeah, something like that. What about for season 4? What was your schedule? Similar?
I think it's pretty similar. I think it's pretty rare that we have an episode that started and ended on the same day. And pretty much impossible because as we're building, there's like introduction of the challenge, there's judging, there's information, etc. And so it's just a whole process, and building is just like that big centralization. Typically for us, we'd have breaks, lunch breaks, and also episodes are split every 2 or 3 days. So maybe we'd have 4 or 5 hours of building in one day, and then the remaining 6 or so hours the next day.
So we still got a few more minutes for questions.
Hey guys, thanks for stopping by Orlando.
Thank you guys.
So my question is, what changed in your personal builds after LEGO Masters?
What changed in our personal build after LEGO Masters? Quite a bit. I'd say we actually lean a lot more towards lights because we really enjoyed lights before LEGO Masters, but that really helped us put the nail in the coffin of getting the win on LEGO Masters. So we really leaned into that. You can see it in our builds over there. But I think, Steven, you also do more color, isn't that right?
Yeah, I touched on it a minute ago, but yeah, Amy really wanted color. Like, I'll never forget how much she wanted color in the models. So we definitely capitalize on that now. We definitely add a lot more of the new yellows, the new teals, the new blues and greens and azure, magentas, and dark teal, turquoise. Lego's, like I said, got a great back catalog, and we kind of just did neutral tones for a long time. Because castle builders do neutral tones for most of their stuff. So that change has been fun. Like, that's a nice new change. But that's mostly it, I think. That's the biggest one.
We have a lot to live up to now, too, so we try to build bigger, but that's one thing. What about you guys?
I think, for me, it's pretty much from 0 to 1 because before the show, I didn't build mods, and now I do a bit. But I think the key, so actually, Chris, this past weekend, Chris hosted a birthday party, and he had a LEGO Masters competition as part of his birthday party. And I did build something, and I thought it was pretty damn good. Yeah, so I think the biggest takeaway from the show is always kind of building for an audience, like what people like, and also what is something that, as I kind of mentioned before, what is something that's iconic. I think it's very easy in LEGO to build things that are very messy, a lot of little things kind of scattered throughout that are not very self-explanatory, or you have to kind of explain it, and it's not really clear what the central theme is, but kind of building a story into your build and making it really pop, I think is super important.
Honestly, I feel like my answer to this is kind of twofold because for one, any mock that I did before LEGO Masters was pretty much just a Bionicle mock because I was really in that Bionicle world. So it kind of made me, branch out to more system stuff. And I feel like the experience of being on the show made me want to, as Robert was saying, host more events like the show itself and kind of force my friends to live through a microcosm of what I did. I mean, yeah, the past weekend, 20 folks, they flew out to Seattle with the promise of a crazy birthday party, but what they didn't know is that I was just going to force them to go through LEGO Masters and then film them. So it's free content for me, and they get to have fun building with LEGO as well. But I mean, doing that sort of thing is a ton of fun because watching Robert, who's one of my closest friends, dive into the LEGO world basically head first was so cool and so surreal because we had worked together in startups in the past and worked together on our own companies, but seeing him actually get excited about LEGO is just a dream come true for me because I'm like, oh, my friend's actually really getting into LEGO now too. So that's just a lot of fun, and I love getting my friends into LEGO. Big fan, love the show. Long time listener, first time speaker. I have a big heavy question for you guys. I don't want to answer it completely, but what is your favorite LEGO color?
favorite Lego color? I'm gonna take it first. It's dark turquoise / teal. Sorry guys. It's basically all our favorite color. It's such a cool Lego color. It came back to life. It was retired for a short period of time. It's awesome. So, but besides teal, we all love teal. What do you like teal?
Olive green is a really good one. I do like the olive green color. Also, shout out to Dom from season 3. Cool guy Dom over here. There we go. You'll have it. Go subscribe. Go subscribe. You're gonna have a Q&A pretty soon after this, right? Yeah. Okay. Stick around for Dom and Ethan and a bunch of other cool people. But yeah, olive green I think is my favorite. When it came out with Lord of the Rings, people just freaked out. They're like, this is awesome. It's a cool army green color. Yeah, olive green. I'll stick with that. Normally it's dark teal, but we'll go with it.
I'd probably say vibrant coral. We use it a lot for lettering on the show, and it just really pops out against white. So it's a beautiful, beautiful color.
I think I gotta say, Lego's been doing a lot of really cool effect colors with transparent satin opalescent colors. I love all of them, especially in the recent Lego City Space sets, they have these energy crystals that are transparent satin opalescent purple. And I always loved transparent purple already because of Bionicle stuff, and Generation 2 of Bionicle factor that into the color scheme, but having it be this satin color as well with like sparkles in it is super cool. So at the moment it's my favorite, but I'm unfaithful. I always switch, so we'll see.
Was there a Lego Master Challenge that you would have rather had that's not originally in your own season?
There's a couple for sure. And I'm gonna let Christopher go first on this one.
Definitely the spaceship challenge. I would have loved to do that. I love Lego Space. Before really the reason why I got into Lego was Bionicle and Blacktron and Classic Space, and I got a ton of hand-me-down space sets when I was a kid, and that really got me into Lego because I love the modularity of a lot of what Lego was doing with space. Like you could take the engines off and the cockpit off and make it into its own spaceship or reconfigure things around, and I just fell in love with the system, so I would have loved to build like a crazy spaceship. I wish we got to do that. There are so many good ones though. But that's the one that comes to mind immediately.
I think that maybe one or two. So one of them, we're both engineers, and so one of them I really liked was the shaking challenge, where we like using Technic a lot on the show. I want to see how far we can stretch that capability. Just to challenge ourselves. I don't know how well we do, but just to get our engineer brains working. And maybe the other one's the hanging by a single brick challenge. I just think that's such a really great opportunity just to be creative, because like there's just so many interesting things you can do with that. And also just make things balanced. So yeah, kind of a mix of creativity and engineering.
You guys would like that shake challenge. I think you guys would have a good time with that. Our entire season hated that challenge. Anyway, I think one that I really liked is actually from season 1, where they split a prop in half, whether it was a diving helmet or a telescope or whatever. That was such a cool challenge. I would have loved to try that. They really haven't brought it back in that form. However, they are recreating specific objects, which is similar, but I want to be doing half of it. You know what I'm saying? Half was cool. What do you want to do? I'm sorry about the Tower One. It's a knee-jerk reaction. Sorry. I normally would have said the Snow Globe challenge. It was in a Christmas special. It's also prominently on Australia. Really cool effect, but I'm leaning towards the exact copy challenge, the copy paste challenge. You guys had the giant chair. You guys did a great job with that. It looked really good. You guys got to enjoy that challenge. Season 4. Not feeling it? Yeah, that's how I feel about the Tower Challenge. But no, I think it's pretty cool. Like do the record players or the flutes and other fun things. Like I've seen it on Australia quite a bit, and it looks like a lot of fun. So, yeah, I think I would lean that way over the Snow Globe these days. But yeah, that's how I feel about the Tower Challenge. Anybody else? Got about 5 minutes. You need maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Anybody else? Sky's the limit. Otherwise, we have fun stories. Oh, maybe, possibly, right here. Right, that's good.
Let's see. Do you have a favorite Lego series from the 90s or the 2000s?
Favorite early Lego series, like a theme? I'm gonna steal Mark's potential. Maybe. Adventurers. Adventurers with Johnny Thunder. It's Lego's own original story, its own lore and all the characters. Indiana Jones knockoff. I'm seeing the T-shirt. Yeah, it's super cool. Oh, you guys are good. Yeah, that's definitely a favorite. Is the Johnny Thunder line. How about you, bro? It's kind of a favorite, but it's also just kind of a weird one that I just love for ironic sake. But it's Galador. Oh, did I steal your thunder? I'm sorry. Christopher knows what I'm talking about. This is this theme that nearly bankrupt Lego and his big action figures. No step connections, it's insane. Google Lego Galador, you'll be mind-blowing. There's 10 hours of its TV show still on YouTube if you can find it. Don't go watch it. But no, it was crazy. So that one just comes to mind as an amazing, like early 2000s theme. What about you guys?
I think Lego Mindstorms, that got me into Lego and also got me into engineering as well. And so cannot give Lego enough thanks for that. And maybe also Lego Space. Just so you know, I've always been a huge space fan. I'm still a huge space buff today, and I think that probably had some part to play.
This is really tricky. I'm having trouble figuring out what my favorite is. My gut reaction was Aquazone and all the underwater things, which is probably still true. But there are a lot of really interesting ones to dive into. Lego was developing a concept that they called Lego Wiz back in the day, which eventually morphed into Lego Snap, which features this crazy click together pieces. And I always find it very interesting to try to fit those pieces into builds because they're not super compatible with other Lego builds. So that's a lot of fun. Drone Racers was also really cool because they had a story behind Lego Racers, which is crazy. Lego Salax is also awesome, which is Alien Racers. So, and of course Adventures, as you said, that's a classic. So it's so hard to pick. I think I'll say Aquazone, but I don't know. Well, I mean Bionicle, I guess, is in that era too. So definitely that.
What light kit companies do you like?
Okay, so there's a couple different ones. One that I have a little experience with is called Light Tailing, which has different kits for all sorts of Lego sets. There's also Light My Bricks is a really popular one. I hear a lot of good things about that. There's Brick Stuff, you get the individual pieces from their website. Then you can just use fairy lights like I did in my Giant Tron build. So there's a whole bunch of different options you can try. But basically, lights and Lego work together very well as long as it's LED. Yeah. Anyone else? We named all of them? Okay, yeah. So, I would prefer fairy lights over other brands because they're cheaper and they're more user-friendly and there's more versatility. So I would start with Amazon and buy little fairy light Christmas lights. Just go from there. But yeah, LED. All right, and I think that's all the questions for today. But thank you so much for attending. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. And we'll be back with another one this afternoon if you're still here. So thank you guys.
Thank you so much, and stay tuned because later on we'll be hosting Lego Trivia as well. You're going to win some free Legos, so stay tuned and come back for that.
All four of us will be back over there by that red background for pictures, hanging out, chatting, talking about builds. A lot of fun. We'll see you guys. Trivia is here, so come back here for trivia.
I mean, I think our application site was pretty similar. So I was in school, Chris was working full-time. They reached out to us around in the fall. I think they are also quite proactive with reaching out. Chris has a huge Lego channel, and so I've worked with Chris on a lot of past projects, and so he reached out to me, and so we teamed up together. Pretty interesting. So I think the entire process was maybe 6 months or so from the first reach out to knowing that we'd be on the show.
Yeah, it was actually really cool because I had first been reached out to for season 3, but since I was in college, I was like, I don't know if I'm crazy enough to take so much time off of college. But then when season 4 rolled around, I said, I know exactly who's crazy enough to take that much time off college. So I called up my boy Rob, and yeah, it was pretty much they had reached out around, I would say, September of the year before filming. And the audition process, even though they reach out to you, you still have to audition, you still have to practice, you still have to build stuff. And by the time that we actually found out we would be on the show, it was really only weeks before filming in late February. So it was a pretty long process from September to February. There were gaps in which we wouldn't hear anything and thought, oh, well, it's over, we didn't make it. and then we'd get a call and be like, all right, next round, get ready, we're getting a ton of bricks, build something, and go from there.
Run out of ideas.
That is a really good question. Do you ever run out of ideas is the question. And I feel like every time that I face builder's block, so to speak, where you're trying to figure out the best way to put something together or even just come up with an idea for a prompt, I always try to draw from stuff that I'm interested in. So whether it be other Lego themes, older Lego sets and stuff that I grew up with, or even just everyday life, there's always, I would say, sources of inspiration to be found. But I mean, whenever you have builder's block, it's really good having a partner to build with, because the chances of both of you having it at once is hopefully pretty unlikely.
Yeah, I think the same. There's just so many things we can draw inspiration from, and I think if you start from a story and then build from there, that always helps. So what is something that you're really interested in? What is something that's like iconic that you think can make a good story? And I think once you kind of get that kind of nugget in your head, it's very hard to get builder's block.
Especially on Lego Masters, builder's block could be pretty dangerous. We didn't have much at the beginning of the challenges, thankfully. We would get off to a decent idea pretty quickly. The problem was the burnout, not really builder's block, but burnout. So our strategy for that was to trade places. So if we were ever really tired, we would just be like, oh, I can't build anymore. Like, this isn't working. I can't figure this one section out. Mark, can we swap out? And we'd tap out. And he would be working on, he'd have a fresh new perspective. I'd be working on something that probably was going a lot better, and I could, cool off and like I can work on this. So that was more useful. But thankfully, builder's block for at least the show, we did a good job avoiding it, I think.
To finish off, you can actually practice coming up with ideas. So it's like learning how to be creative on the spot, and just the more you do that, eventually you better get good at it, right? So a lot of practice that can help. So, any other questions? There's one.
How much money does it cost for a big mock?
How much money does it cost for a big mock, like a Lego creation? It can cost a lot of money because Lego's kind of expensive, but thankfully there are ways you can save money. You can go to like a independent Lego store. They usually have a pick-a-brick table with all those pieces. You get it by weight. That's one way I like to get a lot of pieces at relatively affordable prices. You can get pieces online on Lego.com. You can pick and build, I think it's called. You can get like tiles and slopes and other pieces you might need for pretty affordable. If it's if there's like an easy accessibility versus a 6-month or whatever it is. So yeah, find the Lego pieces you can to save money, but yeah, literally hundreds and hundreds of dollars if you build a really big one.
Another good way if you're shopping around, check out the vendors here. There's a lot of cool like loose minifigures, Build-A-Fig, and loose parts, polybags. Like there's a bunch of stuff at the vendors. Don't forget to check that out. But yeah, that's a good place to start. But Lego is expensive. We try not to think about the cost sometimes. We just sort of just build and like just try not to worry about it. So that's what we usually do. Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I think that answer pretty much sums it up. I try not to think about it, but as you said, there are ways to do it. Bricklink.com is actually the official Lego resale site. It's owned by Lego, and there are really good ways to actually optimize your carts there to try to cut down on the amount of money you're spending per piece. But you can also, when you're designing a mock, especially if you design it digitally beforehand, there are some really powerful digital design tools like Studio that lets you even see the cost estimate per piece of your mock. So let's say you throw in a piece and it's like, oh, this piece is $10 by itself, but maybe you could swap it out, break it up into smaller pieces, and all of a sudden that becomes a couple cents. So there are a lot of ways you can optimize it if you're really trying to build on a budget.
What is the funnest build that you guys have made on Lego Masters?
Oh, that is a good question. Honestly, for me, I would have to say I personally had the most fun building. For episode 3, it was a volcano challenge. And I'm a big fan of Lego Bionicle. That was one of my favorite themes growing up. I see Dom in the back. He agrees. But you know, I found it really fun to sneak in some references to some of my favorite Lego themes in that build and build a giant Bionicle mask into the volcano. So I had a lot of fun doing it, and that was probably one of my favorites, but I mean, almost all of them were very fun, except the chair.
Yeah, I mean, the chair was fun in some way. I think For me, the most fun was probably the purse, kind of in the theme of fall. I think a lot of our builds, we try to go really big and ambitious, but we end up kind of at a mad scramble at the end. But I think with the purse, we kind of paced ourselves and we got to a level of polish that I think that I was personally very happy with. It is my favorite build. And everything just came together so well, with minimal stress, I think, except for like a very slight hiccup at the end. But definitely the purse.
So I would almost pick the hat challenge first. So we had that runway with the gigantic hats, 100 studs. That was extremely fun to build that thing. However, it was also really intense. So the stress levels were high, especially near the end. So I'm gonna go with the puppet show. The puppet show was extremely fun. It was near the end of the season, was it episode 9, 8 or 9? Yeah, it's in the later part. But I got to meet Steve Whitmire, who voices Kermit the Frog. He was Billy Puppet, the extra character who's running around. So I'm a big Muppets fan, and I got to do a bit with him that didn't make it to camera. So that one, we weren't stressed out as bad as the other ones. It was really fun. The model went together exactly how we wanted it. So that was definitely a favorite, was the puppet show. What about you, bro?
We also had a remote control demo derby during our season, and this is a little bit maybe like sad, but I really loved it when Caleb drove his car right off the edge. I felt bad for them, but it was so funny at the time. We were like screaming, ah! So that was really a fun challenge to participate in. Any other questions? There's one.
This is for Rob and Chris. I know that they were supposed to release one of the builds that you made. Has that been released yet?
Yes, that is a great question. The build has actually been done since last September. It's been ready to go, but we are waiting for the release window. It should be very, very soon, and I think that's all we can say.
Yeah, very, very, very soon.
How did the pieces work in the show? Did you guys have like unlimited pieces, or where did you get that from?
Yeah, so we had access to the brick pit, which had, how many bricks was that? Do you know?
We had 5 million on our season, but they added it by the time they got wrong.
So Robert's saying 8 to 10 million. I believe it because we had a crazy selection of pieces, and it was really interesting because they had a very good sorting system that we actually got used to using, where everything was sorted out by color and by piece type. And they had some really interesting stuff too. I'm very curious where a lot of the parts came from because, for instance, they had a seeming endless supply of printed panels that were exclusive to the first Disney castle. So they had some really weird stuff in there as well. But it was a lot of fun using it. It wasn't unlimited, and I think we pushed it to the limits a couple of times where we used so many of one piece that we were told to stop. But otherwise, I mean, it was pretty much unlimited, and for the limits that were there, we just had to use our imagination to come up with a different solution.
So what was nice is that most people sort by color or part, but the brick pit was sorted by both. You had color and piece, so that made the building process way, way, way faster. I remember near the beginning of the show, actually, I just remembered this. We were walking on the outside of the studio just getting some fresh air before filming, and I noticed there was a tractor trailer parked very close to the building. And I went to kind of look, the doors were open, and it was absolutely brimmed to the roof. And to the very back wall with transparent boxes full of Lego, all inventoried correctly. An entire tractor trailer. I'm like, it's not the only one that got, I mean, holy cow, like, it blew my mind. It was a full-size one. I'm like, okay, they're serious about this. So I don't know if it was all the way full or what, but that was pretty impressive.
We got to stop that truck. Any other? Exactly, we need to hijack the truck. Any other questions? Oh, there's a couple in the back. Here you go. You got a good question.
When you guys do Lego ideas, do you do it on LegoIdeas.com?
Do we do Lego Ideas on the Lego Ideas website? I did one a long time ago. I think it got to like 3,000 votes before it ran out of time. So I kind of was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. But what about you guys? Anything on Lego Ideas? Any plans?
I would love to. I think it's a really cool program, and one of the things I actually want to try to do is in addition to LEGO Ideas, they're doing something called the Bricklink Designer Program, where AFOs can actually build from a palette of pieces and actually get it made into an official set. I would say the chances of that getting made are a lot higher than LEGO Ideas. With Ideas, it's always tricky because every single round, there's maybe like even up to 70 or 80 projects, but maybe only one or two will get picked. Versus the Designer Program on Bricklink, which is still through official LEGO, they do it pretty regularly, and you have a pretty good shot at actually getting a set made. So I definitely do want to try that out once I have time to put something cool together.
Okay, so how has being on LEGO Masters, not only on LEGO Masters, but the winners of LEGO Masters impacted your life after the fact?
First of all, shout out to Ethan and Dom here from LEGO Masters Season 3. That is a really good question. I mean, I could ask you the same thing in terms of how has being on LEGO Masters changed your life. But I mean, I wouldn't be here probably, like today, right now, if I wasn't on the show. And I feel like I'm just incredibly lucky to have shared such a cool experience with so many people who come from diverse backgrounds and have all of their own passion points and their own skill sets. But they all can kind of come together and be united by this love for LEGO and this love for creativity. And I feel like LEGO Masters is quite different from perhaps some other reality TV shows where we're not really pitted against each other. Any rivalries are usually pretty tongue-in-cheek and for fun. But you really do get a chance to build a family of sorts when you're on the show. And you get to be united in this community, not just with your season, but now we're up here with the winners of Season 2, friends with people who competed in Season 3, and it's all just one big family. So I feel like I wouldn't have met so many amazing people if I wasn't on the show, and that's the number one thing I'm grateful for.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't say it even better than Chris, but it's been such an adventure. I knew Chris through college. We did some like really cool side projects and startups together. I was not a huge LEGO person until kind of this show brought me back into the fold. And it's just kind of introduced such a whole new world, a new fan base, an amazing community of people that have such a passion for building and creativity that it's really just a gift.
Yeah, I would definitely ditto you guys. It's definitely, there's that whole new built-in bonus family, I guess you could say, of all these amazing builders and everything, as well as the community at large. One fun thing, though, you can't help but notice, especially at the shows, is that me and Mark, we bring, really big models, really cool stuff. It's got the Tron, and we got the trees, and other fun things like that. In the past, people would take a look at the models and be like, wow, and then they keep walking. They might have even glanced at us. We're just like, you take a look at the model. And now everyone walks by the models and then runs straight to us like, holy cow, it's you. I'm like, yeah, nice to, okay. So that was, didn't expect that one as much as it was. But yeah, people still like the models, but people jumped to say hi to us pretty quickly. So that was a surprise a little bit from the get-go. What about you, bro?
Everyone covered that amazing, but I'm just really excited to be part of a thing that brings families together. It's always a thing that the whole family can watch, so I really like that part about it. But any other cool questions? One in the back. There's a troublemaker.
Hey guys, long-time listener, first-time caller. Love your guys' work, love the show. I want to know, what is your favorite LEGO color?
Okay, my favorite LEGO color is tan.
Teal.
Vibrant coral.
Olive green. We planned that one out at the beginning because we keep stealing each other's colors at these Q&As. So we planned it out from the start. Knew it was going to be there. He finally got dark teal. All right. Anybody else?
We all love teal a lot, so that's one of the first things going to mind. But we're letting Christopher have it this time. So. Any other questions? There's a good one.
What's your favorite LEGO theme?
Favorite LEGO theme? Ooh, so Christopher always kind of short circuits on this question because he loves so many LEGO themes, but I think for me it's got to be castle. I love LEGO castle sets, always have. It's one of my favorite themes. Medieval knights are really fun, fantasy. So that's one of my favorite themes. What do you guys think?
I think I'll go with, I do love Castle, that's like the primary one, and offshoots of Castle. But for nostalgia's sake, I'll go with Adventurers. Adventurers was super, super fun with Johnny Thunder and the dinosaurs and the Egyptian line. These are way back in the early 2000s. Most people probably don't know. Most people know like Power Miners and other stuff like that. But we had Adventurers when we were younger. That was a fun one. There you go.
I I've got to say Lego architecture. Always been a fan. I'm an engineer. I like realism, and so I love, especially for example, like the Notre Dame set that just came out. Like just the level of detail that the designers can kind of pack into these builds, and the kind of level of creativity they use to do it is just really awesome. And they're always fun to put together.
I've been on a bit of a Scala kick recently, but I don't know if it's like the favorite, but it is very interesting. Scala has some of the most interesting pieces Lego ever made. I will, however, say the correct answers are Bionicle and Ninjago.
After working on Lego Masters, did you have the opportunity to work with Lego, the brand, and collaborate on anything, or if they talk to you about doing anything? I know one of the Lego Masters actually got a job at Lego after, but have you guys had additional talks with Lego?
Yeah, it's actually a really good question. I guess I was really lucky because even going into the show, I already was part of the Lego Ambassador Network through my YouTube channel, Duckbricks. So I work a lot with Lego in terms of doing promotional stuff. There's some stuff on their YouTube channel coming out soon that I'll be showcasing. But in terms of being hands-on at headquarters at Lego, we had a crazy experience actually getting a chance to help design our Lego set coming out, because last September we were flown out to Denmark and just were thrown into this crazy 2 weeks of meeting with designers, going to the Lego Innovation House where they build all the new sets and seeing some crazy stuff there. But actually getting a chance to collaborate with some amazing Lego designers. I don't know if we can say who the designer was that worked on our set, but it's quite exciting and we're very excited to talk about that. But it was a really cool experience, and so yeah, we continue to work with Lego and we'll be doing more stuff with them later this summer.
Yeah, I mean, Chris said it best. I think just working with designers to see the process of how a set comes together, from just very basic sketches on paper to how they do kind of quality assurance, to just walking through the plant and seeing how those Lego pieces are molded and made. It's very automated, it's super cool. To like marketing and packaging, I think just that entire process is very cool to me. And yeah, very cool.
There's actually one pretty cool story about set development I want to share. Basically, when we were putting our set together, we initially saw a prototype version that was just slightly different. Like the way the plates were oriented was very, like just a very minute change, not a visual change at all. But we were like, oh, why did this shift? And they said, oh yeah, well we threw the set in the microwave for like 20 hours and one of the plates started to warp. But now when we actually switched it out, it doesn't do that anymore. So that really goes to show just how crazy Lego's quality standards are.
Really? Okay. I would not have thought that they microwave Lego at Lego headquarters. Now you know. Okay, wow. Working with Lego was an interesting thought, but the deal breaker, at least for me personally, was you have to live in Denmark as a permanent residency. You have to permanently live in Denmark and work at Denmark all the time. I like living in the U.S. It's you know, family's here, everything. So if you want that job, you got to commit to that job 100%. So for me, that was a little too much to ask for. Although it's a fun idea to do set design. We actually do some set design just independently. There's a couple of we've got the Disneyland Park set here, and a couple others. But working for Lego sounds like fun, but subarctic conditions, I don't think so.
Yeah, I've done some small like branding things and built stuff for Lego, kind of minor, wasn't too big a deal, but we haven't gotten into the Lego Ambassador Network or anything, we're not that interested in that, but there's a lot of things you can do on the peripheral, and then obviously Christopher Harper had a great experience with that. So. Any other cool questions? There's one over here, one over there. So.
What is your favorite Lego set?
Favorite Lego set? That's a good question. For me, it's got to be the original Yellow Castle set, which is set number 375 in Europe, and it's an amazing set. It was also released a little bit in the United States. It is hard to find because it's from 1978 or 1979, depending on which place it was released. So a really cool set is tied for some of the first minifigures in a Lego set. So without that set, you wouldn't see any of these cool minifigures out on display. So that's a pretty neat set.
I'm gonna go with a recent one, the 90th anniversary castle. That one literally shook me to my core. I'm like, oh, I need to up my game. Like Legos hasn't gotten way better. So that thing was insane. We have one, it's amazing. So yeah, 90th anniversary, definitely love that set. Yeah, that's the one. But how about you guys?
As I mentioned, architecture fans, so Himeji Castle is awesome. Notre Dame probably beats that. I haven't gotten or built it yet, but once I do, that'll probably top it.
Oh, this is such a hard question. I think if we're talking about modern sets, I would say the Ninjago City modular buildings really paved the way to these really highly detailed, highly kind of figure-oriented, play-oriented sets that also look amazing on display. So I gotta say the first Ninjago City, but I mean, going back in time, I have a big soft spot for the very first Life on Mars shuttle in 2001 because that's kind of the set that got me into Lego. You could take the cockpit off, the engines off, a little rover detached, a little droid, and then you could use it to build your own configurations of a spaceship. And while it was pretty basic, I just loved that modularity as a kid.
I have a question. Okay, real quick. You guys are season 2 and season 4 winners. So out of all of us Lego Masters that are here, you guys have the unique experience of being on the show from the beginning all the way to the end. What's one thing you would change about your performance? Now, mind you, you guys won, so technically you don't need to change anything. But if you could change one thing in your performance during that entire stretch, what would it be? And unfortunately, I can't hear the answer because I gotta go. Sorry.
Shout out to Corey from season 1, everybody. He's over there with a build challenge. Good question, man. Let me think. I know. For us, at least for me personally, for the first couple episodes, I wanted to be in the top 2 every single. Hey, there he is. I wanted to be in the top 2 every episode. I want to be in the top 2 at least. Let's be in the top 2. Let's do it. That was a horrible idea because when you didn't make it into it, you started getting kind of bummed out pretty easily. It set the goal a little too high, and you started forgetting about the model itself. So after episode 3, which we were in the bottom 3 of, that was terrifying. I decided, okay, I'm just gonna build something that I really, really like. From now on, we're building something that I really love. This has got to be fun. This is a model that lets put my heart into it. That's my focus from now. I wish I had that from the start. That would save me a lot of headache, I guarantee it. But I'd have to think about that one. How about you, bro?
I think we did a decent job given the circumstances and did the best that we could. And there's not too much we could change about that, but there's one thing we could change. And that's how we combined our land and sea models on the one episode, episode 9. We ended up not in the bottom 2. We didn't like our build at all. We had a little cute little giraffe and a giant jellyfish. We had to mash them together, and our build looked really ugly. Now I'm thinking use the jellyfish as a turtle shell and put the giraffe head there and the little legs coming out. That would have been so cute. Hindsight is 2020. That's what I would change.
I guess it's really tough to say because you never know. Because if something changed, butterfly effects happen, and then etc. But I think episode 1 and 2, we didn't quite get what the judges liked yet. And so we focused a lot on, I think, a lot of technical detail, a lot of little things. But what we kind of missed was getting the color right and getting the story right. And so if you look back at our first 2 builds, we had a very messy party pontoon boat for episode 1. And then episode 2, we had like this disastrous cat build with like a million different themes. And I think that both of them lack focus, which the judges definitely caught on. And so if I were to do anything better, just to focus on that iconic aspect of the build, right? What is something that stands out, is iconic on its own, and is kind of self-explanatory without needing like a minute-long pitch to kind of explain it. I think that would have made kind of episode 1 and 2 so much better.
Partway throughout episode 3, there was an option to sacrifice Robert to the volcano, and I probably should have taken it. Just looking back. But no, I think it was, honestly, I would say we had a lot of, I don't know if I'd call it fun. It was an interesting time on the chair episode. But one of our specialties, as he just said, is going super small, super high detail, 100% accuracy. And we had a golden opportunity where the judges would not fault us for going smaller but more detailed on the object recreation challenge. But for some reason, we decided to go to one of the biggest and hardest objects in the room. And to this day, I still wonder, could the winning streak have started if we just picked a smaller object? But alas, the world shall never know.
I really like that chair, man. It was really good.
So like, how does the 24 hours work for like the final build? Like, it's like 24 hours is like a whole day. How does it work? Like with food and sleep, like how does it work?
That does scratch a few heads, doesn't it? Yeah. How do you pull that off? There's some TV magic. It's 3 days. So it's, for us, I believe it was 7, 8, and 9 hours of build time, not including makeup and meals and whatever. Which was funny because the finale, at least for us, that was the least stressful episode we had, by far and away the least stressful one. Schedule-wise, it was fine. They actually, behind the large doors that you first enter, behind that there's a wall that can roll. And just behind that there's a huge bay door setup. And what they did, I don't know if they did this for you, but they actually moved that LM wall out of the way, and they would raise the bay doors and then open the doors again and then let in a bunch of sunlight, which was weird. Like, holy cow, it's really bright in here. So that was actually really nice because then you don't have to worry about the LEDs all day long. So they did that when there was a little bit of off-camera building. But the build turned out exactly how we wanted. But yeah, it was spread out over 3 days. I believe it's similar for you guys.
Yeah, I think ours was also spread out over 3 or maybe, I think 3 days, but one of those days, which I think was the longest, was actually off camera. So in the finale, if you see like, we had like some surfboards of the wings and the body, and the next shot it was like almost done. That is probably because of the off-camera build. But yeah, about 3 days or so. I think 24 hours. I think we probably could have done it, but being split over 3 days was already pretty killer for us. I don't know. Like, Chris has faith. I'm not sure if I do.
Okay, we have 2 last questions. Hello there. I have a question for all you folks out here. Who's sitting out here and all around me would like to be on Lego Masters? Hands up in the air. Come on. Who wants to be on Lego Masters? All right. You can make it. Get lots of social media. Put your stuff out there that you want to have out there. When you tag your post, tag Lego Masters Fox, and maybe one of the casting producers will find you. And you might get lucky like this old guy did. Maybe I'm not supposed to say this, but I got recruited for the show. That wasn't fair, was it? Anyway, my question for you guys, Mark's going, oh no, I'm not gonna ask y'all for any of the money you won, but I am going to ask you, being the winners panel, of a little bit of a favor for old Grandpappy Patrick that is dying to have a chance to get back on Lego Masters. Okay, you know, you guys have clout, right? I mean, the powers to be might answer your phone call or return your voice messages, which other Lego Masters family members seem to have a difficulty having. I would like for y'all to get a barrage of calls into them advocating for a Lego Masters season that is winners paired with not winners. You notice how I didn't say losers, because no one that's on Lego Masters, believe you me, is a loser, right? And that's a true thing. So now answer that question, please.
All right, so I'm gonna answer your question with what I would like to see, and that is the runners-up. And all the teams that didn't quite make it to the end get a chance to do it again. Because if they asked me and Steven to do it again, we'd say, yeah, sure, we do it. But at the same time, if they didn't ask us, we wouldn't be upset because we've already got that big yellow trophy. We've already had the time on the stage. We've done it before. And so I would love to see someone else get a second chance at redemption. That's a good story. That's entertainment. So that's what I'd like to see. But great thought-provoking question there, Grandpa.
The next best thing we got, though, is the Christmas special. I want to see you on the Christmas special one of these days. Those are fun. Don't forget the Christmas. There you go. What do you guys think? What kind of Lego Masters rearrangement would you want to see?
I would love to see, at least for the US, maybe less episodes but longer episodes where they kind of show more of the build technique and the process. Because I think a lot of it is kind of lost. Great show, very fun to watch, but I do think that a lot of that thinking and almost engineering work and planning work does get lost in the mix a little bit. So, hey, what if we have like a 2-hour episode and like a 24-hour challenge over 5 episodes, I think that is a completely different format, but one that I would find a lot more interesting.
Personally, I would love to see some of the people who competed on the show before return, but maybe have it be like a USA versus the world. Australia did Australia versus the world, but what I want to do is actually not just get random folks from around the world, but get other past contestants from the Australia show, from like the Japan show, the Korea show, the UK show, Germany, and then bring all of them together in one gigantic tournament. I would love to see that.
Hello there, it's very cool to meet you guys in person. My question is, what inspired you guys to be on the show?
That's a great question. I mean, I feel like I've always loved being a public speaker and kind of just putting myself out there with my YouTube channel and with everything I do in my own personal life as well. So for me, it was kind of a no-brainer, and I just needed the right person to do it with. And Robert and I, when we co-founded a startup together in college, we would go almost every single week. We would be delivering business pitches or trying to raise money to investors, and it kind of felt like sort of a similar thing where you have to go in, present something that you've done, and it's just over a much shorter period of time, of course, but I just felt like we had so much fun doing that in college, so now that we were out of college, why not continue the fun? So that's really what motivated me to do it, but I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, Chris and I think we work really well together. As Chris mentioned, we have that startup. We're kind of yin and yang, so we kind of counterbalance each other in a lot of ways, and we kind of know how each other work. And I think that helps a lot in the pressure cooker environment. So when Chris said, "Hey, do you want to go on a TV show?" I say yes to like most things. So I said yes. I'm a very competitive person, and so we're just off to the races.
So I think I mentioned it earlier. We thought it was a scam at first when season 1 they were reaching out. We thought people just wanted our information. But I think what did it, at least for me personally, was seeing my own buddies on season 1. Like I saw Aaron I knew pretty well. I actually have some of his dragon models that he built way back in the day, gave away his prizes for his little contests he did. It was so much fun. And Tyler and Amy, his wife, the winners. I've known Tyler since I first started Lego. He's kind of like my childhood hero growing up. He was the guy I wanted to build like, one of them at least. And seeing him win, I'm like, oh, I want to do that. That looks like fun. If he could do it, maybe I could do it too. So, yeah, you got to have heroes, and Tyler is definitely a hero. So I think that's one. That was the tipping point. Seeing him win, I was like on the edge of the couch, like, wow. And I look at him, I'm like, maybe we can let's get that application back in. So, yeah, definitely watching our friends on season 1 was a big one.
And just seeing how enjoyable the show was too, because it's like watching the first season is very iconic, some great moments, great builds, and like that seems like it'd be a lot of fun too. So something that I'd be interested in doing if at all possible. It worked out just fine. So. But I think that's all the questions we have time for today. We'll be back again at 1:15, 1:45, I think it is. It should be on the chart over there. Anyway, thank you all so much for all your awesome questions. Really appreciate all you coming out, and enjoy the rest of the awesome builds. Thank you guys. Dom and Ethan and the other LEGO influencers will be up soon for their own panel, so check that out later.
All right, and with that, we have summed up our LEGO Masters winners panel with Mark and Steven, as well as Robert. Hope you enjoyed this special look at an exclusive LEGO Orlando convention panel. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon, and bye for now.